Classic cameras are timeless. Just like a vintage car or an old mechanical watch, you can't help but be drawn in to the vintage aesthetic and design that went into making these products. The Leica III series of cameras are no exception, and the Leica IIIg was the final iteration of Oscar Barnack's original 35mm camera design. This camera also was the last in the very popular and successful line of Leica screw mount cameras, eventually being superseded by the Leica M cameras. So when the Leica IIIg was introduced to the market in 1956, it came after the introduction of the Leica M3, but it did bring significant improvements from the highly popular Leica IIIF. Some of those included a much brighter viewfinder, a much clearer rangefinder. The camera also came with inbuilt frame lines for the 50mm and 90mm lenses. It also came with a self-timer, and it came with a very modern geometric progression of shutter speeds, which we still use to this day. Unfortunately, this camera did not last very long. Production was done by 1960, and essentially what I feel like happened was the M3 had come out and they made this camera as a continuation of the Leica IIIF, because a lot of people weren't ready to completely cross over to the M bayonet mount new lens system for the M3. But I feel like the reason this was discontinued so quickly was because people soon realized how much more functional and practical the M3 was, combining both the rangefinder and viewfinder into a single window, unlike with the 3 series where you have a separate window for the rangefinder and then a separate window to compose and see your shot and take it through. But I have shot a few rolls of HP5 with this camera. Now the lens that came with this is the 5cm or 50mm 2.8 Elma collapsible lens. These lenses did come standard with the camera. As I said, there is 50mm frame lines built into this version, unlike the 3F and the previous versions, which just had a 50mm equivalent viewing window. So composition is definitely a lot easier with this camera. But the lens, being a vintage lens of 60 years old, obviously it's not as bitingly sharp, and the contrast and micro contrast isn't there compared to modern lenses, but it definitely does give you a bit of a dreamy look at f2.8 with a little bit of softness to the image, but it's quite a pleasant softness to look at. It does look like an old black and white, especially shooting HP5, it does look like the old black and white photos that you're probably used to seeing from when your parents were very young. But once you stop the lens down to f8, 5.6 f8, it does provide very good results for a lens of this age. It's very easy to focus. It's very smooth. The collapsible nature of the lens just makes it even more portable and compact system. These Leica 3 cameras are much smaller than the Leica M equivalents, so that's a nice plus going for these. These cameras are also extremely affordable. I picked up this camera and lens in a I'm not sure if it works condition, very cheap. I paid 600 Australian dollars for it, very cheap. And I thought, you know what, it's worth a gamble. even if it's not working properly, I'll go and have a look at it, and because they're all mechanical, they are quite easy to repair. Luckily for me, all shutter speeds work correctly, and the camera, I'm amazed at how good a condition and functional it really is. It's a joy to shoot, it's a joy to take photos with, and like I said, it's like holding a little bit of history in your hand. I can't recommend these enough for anybody who maybe really wants to get a vintage camera. Maybe they want a Leica in general, because these are at a very low price point compared to any of the other Leica M bodies and lenses. They can be had very cheap still, and if you're lucky like mine, it's just an amazing condition, and a 60-year-old camera that still functions, that I can still shoot, take photos, develop. It really is quite an amazing feeling. Unfortunately for me, being someone who's owned multiple Leica M cameras, and the current rangefinders I have are modern rangefinder cameras, the slower pace of focusing with the separate window, it's not ideal for me. I can't see myself using this camera a lot in the future, and I'll probably sell it, but it's just one of those cameras that I had to try. Being, you know, a derivative of the original Oscar Barnack Leica design, which all 35mm cameras are sprung from, it is a very nice piece of history to have in your hand, and I honestly can't recommend it enough to anybody. If you've never shot with one before, do yourself a favor and grab a little piece of history and have a bit of fun while you're at it. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Thanks again for watching another episode of Shoots with Coops. Happy shooting, and I'll see you in the next one.